Let's jump right into this explainer for May 15th, 2026. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating piece of work, the Convergence Brief. We're going to see how it brilliantly synthesizes macro probabilities with hard market data to give us a clear view of what's actually happening out there. But before we get into the weeds, please note, the content presented in this explainer is intended solely for general, informational, and educational purposes. Nothing herein constitutes or should be construed as financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. You really shouldn't act or rely on any information in this explainer without seeking the advice of a qualified financial professional. Also, this audio explainer is an AI-generated product produced using Notebook LM. It automatically summarizes and synthesizes reports, analyses, and commentary, originally published at reflectionsofreality.substack.com. All views, opinions, and analyses expressed are those of the original author and absolutely do not represent the views of any financial institution or regulator. As always, past performance is not indicative of future results, and all investments involve risk, including the possible loss of principal. Oh, and copyright Reflections of Reality, all original content rights reserved. Okay, let's get to the good stuff. Here's our quick roadmap for today. Section 1, 2 lenses, 1 horizon. Section 2, the Polymarket Macro Monitor. Section 3, weekly report tape readings. And finally, Section 4, model portfolios in action. Starting off with Section 1, 2 lenses, 1 horizon, navigating geopolitical and monetary uncertainty. So the Convergence Brief relies on this brilliant analytical framework to answer one absolutely crucial question. Do the names you're holding actually sit on the right side of the rotation map? To figure that out, it builds on 2 very distinct sources. On one side, you've got the Polymarket Macro Monitor. Think of this as a probability-weighted view of the world. It literally quantifies a trapped Fed and escalating global risks. On the flip side, you have the weekly report. This moves us from probabilities to cold, hard realities, giving us a tape-based reading that tracks the actual market regime and where dollar exposure is moving right now. Both lenses point in the same macro direction, but bringing them together, that's the real game changer for tactical action. Moving on to Section 2, the Polymarket Macro Monitor, quantifying the hawkish trap. Now, what I find incredibly fascinating about this first lens, the polymarket data, is just how sharply it diverges from the complacency we're seeing in traditional institutions. I mean, look at this number. Polymarket is currently pricing in a shockingly low 0.9% probability of a June Fed rate cut. That's essentially zero, right? So while the sell side might still be crossing their fingers and penciling in cuts by year-end, the crowd is confirming that a higher for longer rate environment is for sure the definitive baseline. And this brilliantly illustrates the wider geopolitical arc that the market is currently pricing in. Look at that top probability, a 97% chance that NVIDIA remains the largest company by the end of May. That near certainty imparts a massive concentration risk, and it absolutely amplifies volatility across the entire tech sector. But scan down the rest of that list, and you see global tensions spiking. There's only a 5.5% chance that Hormuz traffic returns to normal by the end of May. That implies a massive structural bid on energy and a $30 to $50 risk premium that just isn't priced in yet. Combine that with a 29.5% probability of the U.S. invading Iran before 2027, which totally fades the consensus models, by the way, and a stubbornly high 7.4% tail risk for a Taiwan supply chain shock. The takeaway here, the crowd is bracing for a highly volatile, highly fragmented world. That brings us to Section 3, weekly report tape readings, the tactical signatures. Because, probabilities are one thing, but tape data tells us what institutional money is actually doing. Enter the Market Dashboard Index, or MDI. Right now, it's reading at 5750. This is highly significant because it sits perfectly inside what's identified as the bullish kickoff zone, an area that historically boasts a 63% hit rate for swing longs. So what's actually driving this bullish tape? Well, under the hood, this confirms a reflation regime dominating at 72.1%. The system is actively accumulating energy and dollar exposure, which, if you think about it, perfectly aligns with those Hormuz disruption probabilities we were just talking about. And just as importantly, it's quietly liquidating bonds, healthcare, and international equities. The tape is fundamentally repositioning for a high-rate, energy-constrained world. Which leads us to our final part, Section 4, Model Portfolios in Action, Implementing the Convergence. So how exactly does Reflections of Reality funnel all this heavy macro data into actual specific trading execution? They do it through 3 distinct model portfolios. First up is Beacon 1_V2. This is a broad macro and sector rotation model that holds a diversified basket of 39 equities. It runs on a weekly trading cycle with an adjustment factor of 2.5 for dynamic sizing. And notice this, portfolio insurance is actively enabled. It's built to weather broad market volatility while systematically riding those big overarching reflation trends. Next is KISS V2. Now, this one is a much simpler, highly tactical allocation model. Instead of juggling dozens of equities, it just balances SPY, QQQ, and gold on a weekly cycle. It uses a slightly more aggressive, responsive adjustment factor of 3.0. But just like Beach and One, it keeps portfolio insurance enabled. That's absolutely crucial for protecting against those elevated geopolitical tail risks we saw lit up in the poly market data. Finally, offering a total contrast to the others, we have MGS_D_V2. This is a completely different beast. It's a daily high beta momentum model focused exclusively on a mega cap tech basket. It's practically designed to ride that massive NVIDIA concentration wave we saw priced at 97% earlier. And here's the kicker. Because it's a pure momentum engine reacting on a daily basis, portfolio insurance is completely disabled. We've walked through the probabilities, we've looked at the actual tape data, and we've examined the tactical executions. Given the massive, undeniable divergence between these structural world risks and your standard institutional assumptions, it leaves us with one incredibly vital question. Is your portfolio actually positioned for the convergence of these macro signals? Are you prepared for what the tape is showing us? Thanks so much for tuning into this explainer, and I really hope it helps you cut through the noise.